Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird, true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 695, written by jackievonsmokealot. The Unreal Simulation. The other day, my boyfriend and I went to the mall to our favorite dumpling restaurant, and immediately everything just felt strange. Lights seemed brighter and more sterile than they usually do, and everyone around us seemed off, to say the least, almost robotic in their mannerisms. We sat down at the restaurant, and I leaned over to him and told him I wish we could have the spicy dumplings first. Note, there was no server around us, and the restaurant was loud as heck. Our server then walked out of the kitchen and asked us if we would like the spicy dumplings first. They have literally never asked us this. We've been in there dozens of times, and it felt almost scripted, as if someone had been listening in. After we left the restaurant, we stopped for dessert and saw a woman in a short baby blue dress with long brown hair walk by us. Maybe a few seconds later, a woman who looked identical and was wearing the exact same dress but in baby pink walked by. We joked about it, feeling like a simulation. Another minute passed, and a guy in a gray shirt and black pants walked by with a Nordstrom bag. We joked again that it would be weird if he was a recycled NPC too. Not a minute later, the same guy walked by us again. We just stared at each other in utter disbelief and got the heck out of there. It was honestly one of the most unreal things I've ever felt. We laughed about it and just thought, what are the odds? But the more I think about it, the more unsettled it makes me feel. Case file number 696, written by sistersgrowz. Our minds will blot out the sun. I was sat in the garden in the northwest UK with my mom sunbathing in the high temps yesterday at around 12:30 p.m. in the afternoon. It was quiet, just birds singing. Then all of a sudden the sky went dark as if someone had switched the lights off for a split second, and then it was light again. I thought it was me cracking up, but my mom said, "Did you see that?" And we discussed it. Our first thought was maybe it was a plane or a balloon, but the sky was completely clear and it was completely silent, no engine noises. There was nothing in the sky that would even blip out the sun slightly, let alone completely. Is there a natural explanation for this? Or did anyone else experience this too? All I remember is it went very quiet, cold, and it was almost as if something massive had completely blocked out the sun. But it was so quick I just was shocked and didn't really have time to process what had gone on. My mom describes it as the same, just pitch black and cold and quiet. It almost felt like that split second lasted longer than it should have, if that makes sense, like time had slowed down. I spoke to my dad when he came home from work as he was sitting in the gazebo in the garden at the time. I asked if he'd seen it too, and he did. He said I assumed something big flew over, but didn't question it because there's no noise or anything. So there's 3 of us that saw this now, in different locations. My dad also talked about it more this morning. He doesn't believe in the paranormal really, but he was also spooked by it. He can't explain it rationally either. Case notes for file 696. Our minds will blot out the sun. So this will actually be my 4th, maybe even 5th story regarding the sun just blipping out of existence. But I think it's more than just the sun. In fact, it may not be related to the sun at all. I don't think the sun is suddenly losing output. Well, first of all, the light reaching us from the sun to Earth, it takes light about 8 to 9 minutes to actually reach us. So it's not related to the sun just blipping out. Or if it was, it would be delayed by 9 minutes. But I don't think it's related to the sun itself. I think this could actually be some sort of test by the government, testing out a new weapon to disable people. Right now we have non-lethal weapons, stun guns and flashbangs. But what if you could disable someone's ability to see? It would last for however long as you have this device enabled that they're testing. This is all speculation, but it's not unreasonable. I mean, the government's done tests before on people in different psychological ways, like MK Ultra, where they tried to manipulate people into doing whatever they wanted via humiliation and drugs and subjecting them to all kinds of weird behavior and stimuli. And you also said that you felt cold. So I wonder how that plays into it. Maybe this weapon or device that they're testing Maybe the intent isn't to blind us. I don't know what the test would be, if it is even a test, but it doesn't seem related to some natural force. I think this is some sort of device being used. Maybe the inadvertent effect is to cause a temporary blip in perception of those around it. But you felt cold, so that's some sort of energy drain. Obviously the temperature didn't change, it's your own senses that made you feel like you were cold. So just less energy flowing through your body. It almost is like, for a split second, your whole body was going into stasis. Some sort of stasis device? Bonus file, written by G-Unit-02. A flock of murder and a love hex. This happened around 4 to 5 years ago. I'm from Papua New Guinea, and black magic is still heavily practiced by some here. An area well known for this is a place in Papua New Guinea called Samari Island. A lot of young teenage girls are taught how to practice these things by their grandmothers. Long story short, my auntie needed a babysitter to come and look after my little cousins while she was at work. One of her coworkers recommended a young girl from Samari to come and help out with the kids for a few months. Babysitters tend to live with the families for a while over there. They almost become a little bit like family. Anyway, said coworker forgot to mention that the girl was from Samari. Otherwise, my auntie would have looked for someone else. A few months into it, everything is going mostly well. That's until my auntie notices some odd shells in her bag. The kind of shells that you wouldn't want someone that knows what they're doing to be in possession of. My auntie kind of brushes it off. Maybe she's just a fan of collecting shells. She also didn't want to mention this to her. About a week later, my family and I flew over to visit everyone. We live in Australia. We were staying at the family house where my little cousins and this babysitter were. A few nights into things, I'm awake late into the night. I was just scrolling through Instagram on my phone. I noticed the babysitter was sitting outside as well. The house has a weird format, so if you're in the main room or kitchen area, you can see almost all of the outside front section. My auntie walked past me in the main room. She said that she woke up to go get a cup of water. Once she had her cup of water, she went outside to talk to the babysitter. I watched as both of them were having a conversation. I couldn't make out what they were saying because my auntie closed the glass sliding door behind her when she went outside. All I saw was a babysitter pointing upwards into the sky. It was here that I realized that a large group of crows was circling above the front section of the house in the moonlight. My auntie kind of looked at her with a strange look, then went back to her room. I was kind of mesmerized by these crows at this stage. I've never seen such a large group of them circling like this before. In this collection, they're actually called a murder. While I was watching, I noticed the babysitter now had her arms sticking out, almost like she was inviting one of them to swoop down and land on her. At this point, I was kind of chuckling to myself and watching it with curiosity. My jaw literally dropped when I saw one of these crows split from the pack and swoop all the way down to the house. I'm thinking to myself, no way this crow is about to land on her arm. It lands on her arm. She walks down the driveway talking to the crow still sitting on her arm and into the darkness. Now I'm just sitting there wondering what kind of Harry Potter type crap I just witnessed. Shortly after this, I end up going to my room and heading to sleep. The next morning when I explained what I saw to my auntie is when I got even weirder. She explained to me what they were talking about last night. Auntie, still awake? You have strong eyes, it's almost 4. Babysitter, I'm waiting for my dad. She pointed up to the circling crows. Then my auntie goes to bed. Her dad was dead. Auntie finds out she's from Samari. Auntie lets go of the babysitter and finds family relatives to look after the kids now, a bit scared. I should add that aside from this incident, another motive to let her go was because she kept flirting and making moves on my uncle. After this incident, and knowing that she may be capable of spellcasting and other things, they wanted her out of the house before she could try anything else funny. She struck them as someone that would attempt a love hex if she knew how to do it, and had the time to properly perform one. Not sure on the full incident afterwards, but that's what I was later told. I didn't see it as too important to the story, but now realize that it adds important context as to what this girl was capable of.